taking care of yourself, and specifically the topic of checking in, and I'll go through about what I mean by that as we go along. And I'll just give you a little overview of what we're to expect over hopefully 10 minutes, but I might go on a bit longer, or I might just be really fast. We're going to go through and identify what I call identifiers. So these are little symptoms that maybe you might be quite familiar with, that are very easy to ignore, that might let you know that there's something going on internally, which is indicating that it's time for a check-in. Then we'll talk about what check-in is. We'll do a little check-in together, and then I'll give you a little cheat list of things of how to expand and help you to sustain and maintain a kind of like a more positive relationship with yourself and your mental health and your well-being. So, this is me, I'm Tash, I'm the Ambassador for Wellbeing at PAT. I'm a trained and qualified psychodynamic psychotherapist. They're very nice long words. Please come and talk to me about that if you want to one-to-one afterwards, ask me any questions. I work in student counselling service in London University. That's just come to a close, but I've been doing that for the last 4 years. And I have worked and continue to work in mental health and wellbeing advocacy in the hospitality industry. So outside of PACT, I actually manage an independent bar and restaurant and prioritise mental health of my staff to ensure that we don't really have a high staff turnover, and thankfully it's paying off very well. Also, this is my canine best friend Peggy. She's a rescue from Battersea. Claim to fame, she was in the Battersea Dogs Home advert in the first lockdown. The only time I'll mention that today. But some of you might have seen her in the car park as I arrived earlier, as I was in the car. So, identifiers. So what sneaks up on you when you're not paying attention? These are little things that you're like, I'm not quite feeling myself, I'm not quite operating at my optimum, and I don't know why. I'm normally quite good at multitasking, I'm normally quite good at being busy, and it's very easy to stay busy and to ignore these feelings of feeling overwhelmed, pulled in a million directions, feeling stressed, all those things, and just getting on with it. But like, it's fine, my clients are happy, so I must be happy. Not always the case. So we've got laundry, just got some visuals here, so you can really laundry, washing up, this isn't getting done, nothing's getting done, feeling exhausted. I tried to use like a neutral thing for feeling exhausted there, but that was really that typical thing. Someone asks you one question and you're ready to blow, that's that. Can't take pleasure out of things, might start coming up for you. Difficulty concentrating, feeling irritable, being disorganised. So these are all very, very simplistic things that you might feel very used to experiencing from time to time. It's very easy to ignore them because it can just get picked up and it can just be done. But it's really a very good indicator that something else is going on. And if you're not very good at checking in with yourself, as we're going to go into now, then these are the things that might be good little like, oh, my house is a mess and I feel really annoyed all the time. Time for a check-in. So, what is checking in? Checking in is my language to say taking an active noticing into how you're feeling, how are you doing. So just to kind of echo what Karen was saying earlier, it's really that making a connection with yourself and knowing and taking ownership and accountability for the fact that you might feel a bit snowed under, and that is okay. It's literally fine, and it happens all the time, and it will peak and trough consistently throughout, your working life, but it doesn't have to be really, really hard. So I've written here, understanding what that looks like for you, so understanding what your identifiers are. So there might be different things that I've listed before that you don't relate to. There might be other little trigger points that you think, oh yeah, when that happens, I know that I maybe need to take a day off or take an afternoon free. So, and understanding with that as well what checking in is for you, because this is a very individual experience relating to your own mental health and your own well-being. So we're going to do a little check-in together, and this is kind of like a very basic, stripped-down, bite-sized version of it. But it's a nice place to start, and it's something that I'm not going to ask anyone to kind of reveal anything, but it's just something for you to do in your own mind and somewhere to begin. And I'll ask the questions, I'll give you a few seconds, you can think about an example to yourself, and I'll just follow up with something, or just with a basic example that I tend to have quite a lot. So, first thing, when you realise that your house is a mess, you're feeling annoyed, you've got to do a check-in, right, you've given yourself 5 minutes, you've got coffee, tea in the morning, you ask yourself, when do I notice feeling stressed, and what is the trigger? and then any typical day. So I'll leave you a few seconds just to kind of ruminate over that. Anyone coming up with something? Yeah. So, the example that I came up with is leaving the house. I just want to leave the house on time. It never happens. I want to know that I'm prepared. I don't. Have I forgotten something? Probably. Almost always, if I've got my dog, I haven't got bookworms. So, that's what's going on. So that's the trigger that can make me really start my day not feeling like I'm ready for it. And that can, have a knock-on effect. So the next question with your check-ins, you've identified what it is that causes you that stress. What would you like to change about that? In an ideal world, how would that look? I'll just give you a few seconds just to have that. Oh, that Zen moment. I've thought of what their dream scenario might be. So for me, leaving the house, I'd like to leave early, that would be quite nice. I'd quite like to know that I've got everything there, and I'd like to start my day feeling confident that I'm prepared for it. So I've identified what the difficulty is, identified what I'd like to have it look like, ideally. And then the final question, what could be a simple way of changing how that feels? So what little tiny changes could you implement to change how that difficult, tiny little moment of stress can become something else for you, that's something that is just organically peaceful and calm? With leaving the house, for me, there's a few things. Sometimes there's quite a lot of jobs to do in the morning. You can ask someone else to pick them up, delegate some tasks out there, make sure you've got a bit less to do. Or taking that 5 minutes the day before, looking at what you need to do the following day, getting your bag ready, and knowing that when you're ready to go, you just need to pick that up, and you've got everything you need, and you're confident, and you can just start your day along, with a train of thought that you want to go along, feeling happy, feeling good that you know what you're doing, and everyone else can see that you know what you're doing. Right. So, what do you need? I've emphasised you here because, I cannot stress enough, it's so individual. There's loads of collaboration and connectedness that is really important with helping with your own well-being and with your mental health. But there's no point sharing stuff until you know what you want as well. So checking and making that connection with yourself. And this is the cheat list that kind of will help you once you've started bringing in the idea of checking in, then how to expand on that and to help kind of sustain and maintain a more positive relationship with yourself and your well-being and your mental health. So what resources exist around you? Now these can be people and places. So you've got colleagues, friends, people here today that you might meet up with and know that live locally. Mate down the pub, your hairdresser. Who can you talk to about your experiences? But also spaces are really important as well. So I think, green spaces that maybe you don't get an opportunity to go to very often. Perhaps that's something you can put in the diary, like we're going to take the dog for a walk at my favourite place. I never get to go there because I end up walking them where I'm doing my work. Asking for help, it's one of the hardest things to do. It often gets missed. I think it makes you feel very vulnerable, makes you feel like you're not good enough. But that is absolutely key. When you can identify what you need, you're able to ask people just to help alleviate some of that stress for you. And asking for space. So this is similar to asking for help, but kind of context-driven. So when you're sitting down to study, do your admin, are people able to, if you're living in a shared household, are you able to have some quiet at that time? Can people offer you that space? Can someone just take the dog for a walk so you can have the house to yourself in the afternoon? Setting boundaries, another very difficult thing to do, especially when you work independently, especially when you're starting a new career. This can be, both personal and professional boundaries. And it could be something as simple as just not checking your phone at the end of your working day for any of those emails and knowing that your home time is just for you. And taking your time is super, super important. Being patient about trying to change how you think and feel and behave takes, it's really, really necessary. And I think we're so invested in this kind of overnight cure with social media. You just got to try this one thing, and by next week you're going to be a new person. Lost 10 stone, and you're nailing business. It's not going to happen. So you need to take your time. You need to be patient. And figure out, try little bits and bobs, see what fits in with you, what feels possible, bring that into your life slowly but surely, and consistency. I mean, these are all things, I see everyone nodding, and whenever we kind of talk about this in the wellbeing groups that I run with Pat, I'm just like, it's just the same as training a dog, isn't it? You just have to apply that to yourself a little bit. So reaching out. So this is just bringing in that connection again. It's really, really important that you feel able to talk. I'm such an advocate for conversation, for talking. It's one of the most important tools that you have, and it's possible to do in any kind of format, whether it's typing, face-to-face, verbally. There's always an opportunity to communicate with someone else. And I think that really reduces that sense of isolation. And when you're struggling, it can feel like you're the only person in the world who's having that problem. And actually, that's not true in any way. So please make sure you reach out. And, who around you do you feel able to talk about your experiences with? So it's not, sometimes it's a little bit of a tentative journey. You might want to, haven't really got used to talking to other people. But try to identify someone that you can trust and start opening up about what you might be thinking and feeling. And then when you're starting to implement those check-ins and you're making those changes, is there anyone around you who's able to help you maintain a sense of consistency with those changes so that you can kind of keep developing on that? And then who can you share your ideas with? So when you've got those little wins or little successes that you've implemented those changes and you're feeling really great, who can you talk to about? More than likely that person will really benefit from the ideas that you've got. And they might have ideas for you as well to help you kind of consistently develop that and develop that relationship with yourself a bit more. So yeah, in a nutshell, it's been very, very brief. And I always feel like I've kind of scratched the surface whenever I talk about mental health, because we know it just goes on and on and on, and it weaves in and out of so many different things. But I hope that was just a nice little bite-sized chunk that you're able to take something away from in terms of just creating that relationship with yourself and allowing yourself to kind of ask for that help and reach out to others. This is just a little tiny, just as I'm saying thank you, 10-second, oh no, it's not the 10-second video, this is a little video of my dog. That's a pig's ear, not vegan, sorry everyone. Just having a nice time. That's the wrong bit of video, so I don't know what happened there.